Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, the Mad Kiger, and up here today with part 3 of the PlayStation 2 collection, of course, continuing on. It's a bit of a pissed off because it's gone backwards. Last time it was C and D, now we've got A and B. That's the problem when it's not been arranged properly. I still got a lot of work to do with that. Went out today, went to Birmingham, went to that arena. I've got this hat as well today, this PlayStation hat since 1994, of course, with the PlayStation controller there. Pretty cool. I got it from Tokyo Toys of all places. Yeah, it was actually really pretty fun. Went to the resort arena. And yeah, there's some cool shops there, arcade there, which was pretty cool. It's a really cool system, the Vortex arcade. It uses a card instead of having to pay each game. I'll talk about that in a separate video, but let's just go straight into this and get on with it. First up we have Boogie, of course a music themed game. I believe this is a dance game. I don't know if it's actually a game. It's a singing game, but I believe you can also use a controller for some things. Ben 10, Protector of Earth. Never really played many of the Ben 10 games. Some of them are alright, I hear. Some of the Ben 10 games are pretty fun. Never watched the show growing up. Beverly Hills Cop, another masterpiece by Blast. Very terrible game. Brave, The Search for the Spirit Dancer. I believe this was based on a show. I could be wrong. It could just be a standalone thing. It's a Sony game. Breath of Fire, Dragon Quarter. I don't know why it had rare on there. The game's not that rare, to be honest. I've seen it a few times. Obviously, Breath of Fire is a pretty expensive series on the PlayStation 1, but I believe that's the only PlayStation 2 game they had. Brothers in Arms, Earned in Blood, another pretty awesome World War II tactics shooter. Almost like a Rainbow Six style to it, the Brothers in Arms games, and Road to Hill 30. Of course, these games are pretty good actually for their time, and yeah, it's a shame that it sort of died off. Gearbox didn't really continue on with it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Chaos Bleeds, another TV themed game. Never really watched the show, wasn't really my sort of thing, but of course a very cult classic show. Battlefield 2 Modern Combat. Yep, one of the Battlefield games. Could imagine this game was pretty big back in the day. Obviously not so much anymore. Battlestar Galactica. Never watched the show. Watching Star Trek, getting caught up with Star Trek at the moment before starting something new. Battle Construction Vehicles. This is a fighting game with construction vehicles, and it has this little card in there as well. I don't know what the card symbolizes, but it's a fighting game with construction vehicles. Sounds really ridiculous, but I hear it's actually pretty unique. Then we have Bomberman Hardball. It's a selection of Bomberman games, classic tennis, golf, and baseball. Kind of trying to copy what Mario did, but it's actually made by Hudson. Of course. Then we have BMX Triple X. It's a BMX game with nudity in it. It's a very risque game. It's one of the few adult games that have been released as a physical format. There's a bunch of adult games, but only a select few came out on either a console or PC as physical, and some of them are becoming pretty collectible. Bratz Diamonds, of course, are Forever Diamonds, another girly fad growing up, of course. Boxing Champions, just a boxing game. Plenty of boxing games on the PlayStation 2. Then we have Buzz, the music quiz. Of course, you need these special Buzz controllers, which are sort of like quiz controllers. It's a pretty unique peripheral for the PlayStation 2, and it had a ton of games, of course. And then we have the big quiz variant of Buzz. I do have Buzz controllers somewhere, but I am launching them out just for the sake of the whole point was so you could have, multiple people playing, up to 8 people, without needing a special adapter or something, I guess. We have Bust a Block, a Arkanoid style game. Looks pretty fun. I do like a bit of Arkanoid. But Ugly Martians, Zoom or Doom. Another short-lived thing growing up in the early 2000s, where everything was about, trying to be grotesque and disgusting, of course. Then we have the Burnout trilogy here. Burnout 1, 2, and 3. Of course, the original was pretty fun for its time, but Burnout 2 and 3 is where the series really kicked off. Of course, with the crash mode, where you have to try and get the biggest points and do the best sort of crash. It's a very fun series, and it sort of died out. Burnout, it's not really much heard about it. Criterion and stuff. Armored Core 2, another series that I've never really got into. I've never really played much of the Armored Core games. I'm just not really big on sort of mech simulators. I know Armored Core is a bit more somewhat arcadey, but still has a lot of strategy involved in it. And of course, Another Age. I believe one of the Armored Core games on PS2 is actually quite rare. It's either the PS2 or Xbox 360. Area 51. This could be the best PS2 FPS. It's actually a very good game. Yeah, it's a very good game. Whether it's the best first-person shooter on PS2 is, well, it's a bold statement, but it's a very good first-person shooter for a very bland title. And it's nothing to do with the classic, even though it is made by the same people who did the original. It is not an on-rail shooter. It's a full-blown FPS game. Arctic Thunder, from the same people who made Hydro Thunder. A very fun arcade racer. Of course, you probably played one in the arcade similar to that. Canis Canem Edit, in other words, Bully. Rockstar's classic Bully, of course. This was the original version, and then obviously we got the Scholarship Edition on Xbox 360, PS3, and of course the Wii. And of course, Bully is a really good game. Check it out. It's got a very good game. Then we have the Call of Duty quadrilogy, I guess we can call it, on the PlayStation 2. That doesn't belong there. Then we have the Call of Duty quadrilogy. We have the Call of Duty Finest Hour, which actually isn't the original Call of Duty. The original was on PC. This is sort of a exclusive console version. Similar with Big Red 1, Call of Duty 2. Big Red 1, the Xbox 360 got a different version of Call of Duty 2. Of course, these are pretty fun games for their time. And Call of Duty 3. Of course, this was the first game to sort of implement the online community. Of course, all of them had online, but it was really 3 that had the biggest online back in the day. Never really played online though, but still, Call of Duty is classic in its own rights. And World at War Final Front, this is basically World at War sort of dumbed down. And has basically a different, almost a similar campaign, but it's actually made by Rebellion. Of course, Rebellion known for the Sniper Elite series, if you want to be thinking. But 4 Call of Duty games on the PlayStation 4. Now, Call of Duty is a franchise, but let's go back to the days where it was a trilogy. Let me have Cabela's Big Game Hunter 2005. There's so many hunting games out there. I don't really care much for hunting. Some game, I'd rather you do it in the game than in real life, of course. I prefer hunting in Red Dead Redemption. Then we have Black, a very good first-person shooter, actually made by Criterion. One of the most requested games that needs to have a sequel. Very good game for its time. The only thing I don't like about this game is the sort of motion blur when you zoom in. It's really off-putting, but other than that, it's a pretty good game. Black Market Bowling. If you're into 10-pin bowling, there's a game. I don't know what's Black Market about it. We have Blade 2. I remember this game actually being not too bad, actually. Similar to like the Punisher game. So yeah, as obviously the movies are either loved or hated. Then we have Blood Omen 2, Legacy of Kain. Actually a pretty good hack and slash action adventure with a vampire element, and the way you suck blood is you basically like pull it out of their body and spray it. It's bloody, but it's of course vampires. And then we have Blood Rain. I thought I had the first one. Wasn't sure if I had the first or second one. Another series that a lot of people loved growing up. There were 3 games. One of them was a exclusive to digital. Big Mother Truckers 2, Truck Me Harder. Very risque title there. Another sort of arcade truck game. 16, I'm guessing it's got some sort of violence and, you know, swearing in there. Then we have 2 Bionicle games. Of course, we remember the Bionicle growing up. I never really had many Bionicles, but I remember it. First one is a sort of platforming game. It's average. And the second one is actually made by the TT Games. And it's sort of similar thing where you can collect characters and stuff. But this game's actually more of a third-person shooter. So it's a bit different to the traditional TT games. Then we have Birmingham Club Football 2005. There's so many of these club football games, it's unbelievable. It's basically the same game, but basically the story and obviously the version is obviously based on whatever team you supported growing up. So if you were a Birmingham City fan, you would have probably got this one, and you know, you play Birmingham. I don't know why they released so many of them, but still, as collectors, these are very cheap games. Some people don't even bother with them. I do. And we have Bad Boys 2. I don't know how good the game is. The movies are awesome. Of course, the new movie is out now. I haven't watched it yet. I will get around to watching it. And we have Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. It's not like the original Baldur's Gate game, which were more of a traditional old school adventure RPG. This is more of like a dungeon crawler game, but it has co-op and it's a pretty fun game. Can definitely put some time into it. It's a pretty good game if you like that sort of thing. Then we have Batman Begins. This was sort of like the first Batman game to sort of before this sort of. It's an okay game from what I know. Some people like it, some don't. It definitely feels like it's an early version of like the Arkham games. It definitely sort of feels like it helped build the Arkham games. Then we have Batman Rise of Shinzu. Shinzu. I've never heard of Shinzu. Must have been from the animated series. This is sort of more of a traditional beat 'em up game, of course, with co-op and multiple characters to play as and stuff. So this is probably a more hands-on pick-and-play Batman game. Then we have Batman Vengeance. This is a pretty bad game. It's not that great. It's an okay game, but I got to a point in it where I couldn't figure out how I had to get to another building, and I just gave up. We have Battle Engine Aquila. A sort of it looks kind of like EDF, but I don't think it is like EDF. It's more like a mech game almost, or a flight game. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but it's an Atari game. 3D Realms, I believe. Wait, no, Atari and Lost Toys. I've never heard of that company. Oh, and we also have another Burnout game here. Burnout Dominator. Also released on the PSP. The PS2 version is obviously superior, with better graphics and stuff like that. Then we get into all of the Army Men games that I have. Keep these all together. I already talked about how much I love the Army Men games on PlayStation 1 and how I feel like they're underrated. But here's the ones that I have on PS2. Sarge's War sort of takes more of a modern appeal on it. I haven't actually played the story in this game. I only played the multiplayer against my friend, and it's okay. Soldier's Heroes 2 also was on the PlayStation 1, but we did get a PS2 version. Army Men Real-Time Strategy. It sounds terrible, but actually this is surprisingly good. It's a really pretty good real-time strategy game. And it feels more like what you did when you was a kid, when you had all of these battles and stuff. So this is probably the closest thing to a simulation of that. Major Malfunction. This is a terrible game. It feels nothing like the other Army Men games. It is pretty bad. So, but it actually wasn't made by 3DO. This was made by Global Star Entertainment Software. Sorry. Then we have Green Rogue. I remember having this one growing up. It's a very hard game. It's sort of like a on rails walking shooter, twin stick shooter. It's okay. I didn't I didn't actually get very far in this game as a kid because it's very challenging. And then we have the Air Attack Blades Revenge game. I played the demo of Air Attack on PS1 and I thought it was awesome, but I've never actually gone and played this one. The Air Attack games are actually pretty good. Then we have Backyard Wrestling 1 and 2. Never played the second one, but I loved the first one growing up. It's a really fun sort of fighting wrestling game. It's not amazing. Me and my brother used to try play baseball in it. Like I would have a baseball bat and he would throw like bricks at me and I'll try and swing them back at him. Made our own little games within the game, but they're pretty fun, brutal games. I've never played the second one. Definitely will have to go back and see if they hold up. Then we have Babe, another terrible game made by Blast, as we know their reputation. Then we have At the Races presents Gallop Racer. If you're interested in horse racing but without spending any money, here's one for you. Then we have Ark, Twilight of the Spirits, part of the Ark the Lag series. This is also on PlayStation Now and also on PS4. You can download it on PS4. I played a little bit of it. It seemed like an okay JRPG. But like I said, I don't really put a lot of time into JRPGs. Then we have Aqua Teen Hunger Force Zombie Ninja Pro-Am. This is basically like a mini golf game with other, it's crazy, kind of like the show. I've never watched the show and I do want to watch it because it seems like a sort of thing I'd enjoy. Then we have Ape Escape 2. I was about to say, where's the 2 on that, but it was Ape Escape 2. Ape Escape is a pretty fun, light-hearted game, like a platform, and you have to catch the apes with your net and all these gadgets and things. It's a pretty fun series. It's pretty light-hearted. Nothing too serious. Then we have Dot Hack Part 1 Infection, and it comes with a 4-part DVD. There are 4 games in the this Dot Hack. There was also the GU trilogy, but that was not released in the UK. We did get the remastered collection, however, and I do have that digital on PS4. But it has the Hat Liminality, which is kind of like a prequel to the Dot Hack series. And obviously these are JRPGs. The first 2 games are within £10 to £25 range. 3 and 4 are £60 to £100. So that's why I don't have any of the other ones. I did have the second one, but I ended up selling it to get this one. I don't know why. I just did. And we have 007 Agent Under Fire, another game that a lot of people loved growing up. Some of the 007 games, mostly for the multiplayer. That's what 007 games were about. Quantum of Solace, this is kind of a 2-in-1 because it does follow Quantum of Solace, but it also follows Casino Royale. It's an okay game. It's a mixture of a first and third person shooter. 18 Wheelers Pro Trucker. It's an okay game. I've played it in the arcade. It's very challenging, so it's an arcade game. 187 Ride or Die, another sort of vehicle combat game. Never played it, but I remember seeing it growing up. Then we have 1945 1 and 2. These are 2 amazing arcade shooters for the price of 1, I guess. I love some arcade shooters. I love the 1940 shooter games, and of course here's a good compilation of 2 of them. And we have 2002 FIFA World Cup Korea Japan. For some reason I actually tried this game out on a GameCube, I think, and the graphics are sort of almost cell shaded. It's really weird. 2006 FIFA World Cup Germany, one of the first games I ever had on Xbox 360. It was this and Gears of War that I had on Xbox 360, and I actually remember playing this on Xbox 360 and I actually somewhat enjoyed it. I don't know why. And we have 24 the game, based on the show. Never watched the show. Will I ever watch it? Who knows. 25 to Life, a sort of semi-open world game. It's kind of like a Theft Auto San Andreas wannabe game, I guess. I hear it's an okay game. 50-cent Bulletproof, I know you want to laugh, but surprisingly there are 3 50-cent games and all of them are pretty fun. Almost sort of like arcade third-person shooters. Really, really pretty fun games. And I do like a bit of 50-cent here and there. 4x4 Evo. A average off-road racing game. Then we have 7 Blades. I'm not sure if this is a JRPG or a hack and slash. 2 playable characters with different abilities, cinematics. So yeah, 7 Blades. On to the last stack here. Ants Extreme Racing. I hear this game is absolutely terrible. Haven't played it. And 1 Street Ball, an Ubisoft branded street game. Kind of looks like FIFA Street, but with you know, basketball. American Chopper. Okay, I do have the first one. I wasn't sure if I had the first or second one. Based on the show, but it's a chopper bike game. America's 10 Most Wanted, a very terrible first-person shooter, but with the most memorable boss fights in history. You have like one-on-one fights with Bin Laden, Saddam Hussein. It's crazy. It's just look it up. It is one of the most mental things you ever see, and it is absolutely terrible. HEV Off-Road Fury 2, a pretty fun HEV game. Pretty good games to play with a friend or something. You can definitely have some competitive coming out. Athens 2004, another Olympic themed game. Of course, it's normally mashing buttons, but it's fun for what it is if you like that sort of thing. Atari Anthology comes with 85 games, 18 classic arcade games, and 67 Atari 2600 games. And no, ET is not on here. So if you're looking for that Atari collection, here's a good selection. Avatar, The Legend of Aang, The Burning Earth. Never watched Avatar growing up. I haven't watched it since. Will I watch it? Who knows? How good they are, I don't know. There are some good Avatar games. Auto Modelista. This game apparently should have been better than what it was. It's a Capcom branded game. It's cel shaded arcade racer. But some people say this game should have been really good, but it just sort of failed to meet expectations. AFL Live. This is basically Australian football. I believe there's only a few that we got released in the UK. The rest you have to go to Australia to get if you really want to. HEV Off-Road Fury 3. Again, South Peak Games. I don't know what else South Peak Games done. The name rings a bell. Age of Empires 2. Of course, the Age of Kings. Very classic PC game. How well it holds up on PS2, I don't know. USB keyboard compatible. So you could actually plug in a mouse and keyboard and use this. So I'll have to try that out one day actually and see if that works. Arthur and the Invisibles, another long lost, forgotten movie from the mid-2000s. Seven Sins, another one of the adult games that are out there. There's about 3 or 4 on the PlayStation 2. And there's about 20 or so physical adult themed games out there, and some of them are quite rare because of obviously the obscurity of them, and obviously the publishing and trying to sell them in shops and things. You probably wouldn't have been able to sell them in a shop. You'd have to go behind the counter and stuff. So Arcade Classic Volume 1, it is a complete lie. These games are not arcade games. They're just complete rip-offs of other arcade games, obviously. But still, I guess if that's your thing. Alvin and the Chipmunks. This could have been a terrible platforming game, but they actually went down the route of just making a sort of music game. And I don't think you need to have any peripherals to play this. So if you want to play some Alvin and the Chipmunks songs. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare. Another series that a lot of people are asking to come back. Of course, Alone in the Dark was kind of like a mix between Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and I don't know, but it's a horror series. All-Star Baseball, 2002. not many baseball games released in PAL territory growing up. There are plenty now, but obviously because PS4 and Xbox are all, you know, open, you know, region free. Alias, I tried this game. It's okay based on the show. Airblade, I don't know why it has a WWE case, but this game is okay. It's a pretty cool concept, but I just couldn't really get the hang of it. Aggressive Inline, another sort of game with rollerblades, sort of like Tony Hawk. And then last for this video, Ace Combat Squadron Leader. I don't know where this falls in the Ace Combat series. So there we go. That's part 3 done. I've still got plenty of games to go. Sorry it was a bit backward. They will be, unfortunately. But yeah, I enjoyed today. It was a nice day out. It was a nice day out and we really did have a good time. The arcade, like I said, was pretty cool. It was all like card based, so you pay on your card and you tap it on the things, and any tickets you win go straight onto your card. And it's actually a really nice way of doing things, actually, because you don't have to worry about carrying change around and dropping your change and, you know, dropping your tickets and carrying tickets around. I didn't get a chance to go on the VR because it cost too much, in my opinion. It was like £7.50 or like 30 tokens, and we only had 60 tokens each, so I didn't want to spend it all. But I did actually play a Luigi's Mansion arcade game. It's actually really interesting. Sorry about that, I got a call. But yeah, anyway, pissed off now because I knew that would happen. I always do. But yeah, yeah, it was a really cool concept, you know, tapping your card just saves things. You don't have to worry about carrying all the stuff around, and it was okay. I didn't really go on the VR because it, you know, it cost. They had like these ones which are in like seats, and the seats move like, you know, move like that and up and down like that. Sorry about that, but and then there was the traditional sort of Omni VR where you can run and stuff. I did want to try it, but it was like £7.50 for the Omni VR, £6 for the other one, and or it was like 30 tokens on each, and I thought I ain't wasting 30 tokens just for 10 minutes of VR when I've got a PlayStation VR at home. But still, overall a pretty good day, and I enjoyed myself, and to get a official PlayStation hat is really nice. You know that's old because it ain't got the analog sticks. That was back in the days where games hurt your fingers, that's for sure. Anyway, forget about that for a minute. But yeah, this has been the third part of the PlayStation 2 collection. Actually doing pretty good, actually. Working through this. There probably will be quite a few parts, as always, but nevertheless, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And of course, if you did, feel free to leave a like, and of course, comment below. Let me know what you've been up to recently. And also, I'm going to see Barry Manilow in May. I can't wait. I know that sounds really bad for some people, but I can't wait. And of course, guys, feel free to subscribe if you haven't already and join the family. And as always, have a nice day, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.